Hello and welcome back to Memory Lane, Stories for Seniors. We are going to be continuing with our reading of The Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling. We are still on the first section, which is Mowgli's brothers. So if you missed last week's reading, just to quickly recap, we are at the very beginning of the book, and Mowgli has become part of the wolf family. Shere Khan very much wants to eat him, but Akela wouldn't let him. But now Akela has come to be too old to maintain control of his pack, and they're having to decide what will become of Mowgli and how Akela will pass on. So we will continue with that part of the story today. We will, every Wednesday, we will do a reading of this story until we are finished. You can watch us live, you can watch the videos after, or you can check them out on our YouTube channel, which is just Sylvan Lake Library, and you can view those anytime. So feel free to say hi so that I know you're here. Feel free to share any thoughts that you have about The Jungle Book. If you remember reading it when you were young or when you were in school. If you've never read it before, let me know. I will confess, this is actually my first time reading The Jungle Book. I've always loved the movies and never read the book, so this is quite exciting for me. So, without further ado, we will continue on page 28 is where we left off. All right. No man's cub can run with the people of the jungle, howled Shere Khan. Give him to me. He is our brother in all but blood, Akela went on, and ye would kill him here? In truth, I have lived too long. Some of ye are eaters of cattle, and of others I have heard that, under Shere Khan's teaching, ye go by dark night and snatch children from the villager's doorstep. Therefore I know ye to be cowards, and it is to cowards I speak. It is certain that I must die, and my life is of no worth, or I would offer that in the man-cub's place. But for the sake of the honor of the pack, a little matter that by being without a leader ye have forgotten, I promise that if ye let the man-cub go to his own place, I will not, when my time comes to die, bear one tooth against ye. I will die without fighting. That will at least save the pack 3 lives. More I cannot do, but if ye will, I can save ye the shame that comes of killing a brother against whom there is no fault. A brother spoken for and bought into the pack according to the law of the jungle. He is a man, a man, a man, snarled the pack, and most of the wolves began to gather round Shere Khan, whose tail was beginning to switch. Now the business is in thy hands, said Bagheera to Mowgli. We can do no more except fight. Mowgli stood upright, the fire pot in his hands. Then he stretched out his arms and yawned in the face of the council. But he was furious with rage and sorrow, for wolf-like, the wolves had never told him how they hated him. Listen, you, he cried. There is no need for this dog's jabber. Ye have told me so often tonight that I am a man, and indeed I would have been a wolf with you to my life's end, that I feel your words are true. So I do not call ye my brothers any more, but sag, or dog, as a man should. What ye will do and what ye will not do is yours to say. That matter is with me. And that we may see the matter more plainly, I, the man, have brought here a little of the red flower which ye, dogs, fear. He flung the fire pot on the ground, and some of the red coals lit a tuft of dried moss that flared up, and as all the council drew back in terror before the leaping flames. Mowgli thrust his dead branch into the fire till the twigs lit and crackled, and whirled it above his head among the cowering wolves. Thou art the master, said Bagheera in an undertone. Save Akela from the death. he was ever thy friend. Akela, the grim old wolf who had never asked for mercy in his life, gave one piteous look at Mowgli as the boy stood all naked, his long black hair tossed over his shoulders in the light of the blazing branch that made the shadows jump and quiver. "Good," said Mowgli, staring round slowly. "I see that ye are dogs. I go from you to my own people, if they be my own people. The jungle is shut to me, and I must forget your talk and your companionship. But I will be more merciful than ye are, because I was all but your brother in blood. I promise that when I am a man among men, I will not betray ye to men as ye have betrayed me." He kicked the fire with his foot, and the sparks flew up. "There shall be no war between any of us in the pack, but there is a debt to pay before I go." He strode forward to where Shere Khan sat blinking stupidly at the flames, and caught him by the tuft of his chin. Bagheera followed in case of accidents. "Up, dog!" Mowgli cried. "Up when a man speaks, or I will set that coat ablaze." Shere Khan's ears lay flat back on his head, and he shut his eyes, for the blazing branch was very near. "This cattle killer said he would kill me in the council, because he had not killed me when I was a cub. Thus and thus, then, do we beat dogs when we are men. Stir a whisker, Lungree, and I ram the red flower down thy gullet." He beat Shere Khan over the head with the branch, and the tiger whimpered and whined in an agony of fear. "Pah, singed jungle cat! Go now! But remember, when next I come to the Council Rock, as a man should come, it will be with Shere Khan's hide on my head. For the rest, Akela goes free to live as he pleases. Ye will not kill him, because that is not my will. Nor do I think that ye will sit here any longer, lolling out your tongues, as though ye were somebodies, instead of dogs whom I drive out. Thus, go." The fire was burning furiously at the end of the branch, and Mowgli struck right and left round the circle, and the wolves ran howling with the sparks burning their fur. At last there were only Akela, Bagheera, and perhaps 10 wolves that had taken Mowgli's part. Then something began to hurt Mowgli inside him, as he had never been hurt in his life before, and he caught his breath and sobbed, and the tears ran down his face. "What is it? What is it?" he said. "I do not wish to leave the jungle, and I do not know what this is. Am I dying, Bagheera?" "No, little brother. That is only tears such as men use," said Bagheera. "Now I know thou art a man, and a man's cub no longer. The jungle is shut indeed to thee henceforward. Let them fall, Mowgli. They are only tears." So Mowgli sat and cried as though his heart would break, and he had never cried in all his life before. "Now," he said, "I will go to men. But first I must say farewell to my mother." And he went to the cave where she lived with Father Wolf, and he cried on her coat, while the 4 cubs howled miserably. "Ye will not forget me," said Mowgli. "Never, while we can follow a trail," said the cubs. "Come to the foot of the hill when thou art a man, and we will talk to thee, and we will come into the croplands to play with thee by night." "Come soon," said Father Wolf. "O wise little frog, come again soon, for we be old, thy mother and I." "Come soon," said Mother Wolf, "little naked son of mine. For listen, child of man, I loved thee more than I ever loved my cubs." "I will surely come," said Mowgli, "and when I come it will be to lay out Shere Khan's hide upon the Council Rock. Do not forget me. Tell them in the jungle never to forget me." The dawn was beginning to break when Mowgli went down the hillside alone to meet those mysterious things that are called men. Hunting Song of the Sayanay Pack. As the dawn was breaking, the sambar belled, once, twice, and again, And a doe leaped up, and a doe leaped up, from the pond in the wood where the wild deer sup. This I, scouting alone, beheld once, twice, again, as the dawn was breaking and the sambar belled once, twice, again. And a wolf stole back, and a wolf stole back, to carry the word to the waiting pack. And we sought and we found and we bayed on his track, once, twice, and again. As the dawn was breaking, the wolf pack yelled once, twice, and again. Feet in the jungle that leave no mark, eyes that can see in the dark, tongue, give it tongue to it. Hark, oh hark, once, twice, and again. Now our next section is called Cause Hunting. And for those who know this story, know who Ka is. His spots are the joy of the leopard. His horns are the buffalo's pride. By clean, for the strength of the hunter is known by the gloss of his hide. If ye find that the bullock can toss you, or the heavy-browed sambar can gore, ye need not stop work to inform us. We knew it 10 seasons before. Oppress not the cubs of the stranger, but hail them as sister and brother. For though they are little and fussy, it may be the bear is their mother. There is none like to me, says the cub in the pride of his earliest kill. But the jungle is large, and the cub he is small. Let him think and be still. Maxims of Baloo. All that is told here happened sometime before Mowgli was turned out to the Saene wolf pack. It was in the days when Baloo was teaching him the law of the jungle. The big, serious, old brown bear was delighted to have so quick a pupil, for the young wolves will only learn as much of the law of the jungle as applies to their own pack and tribe, and run away as soon as they can repeat the hunting verse. Feet that make no noise, eyes that can see in the dark, ears that can hear the winds in their lairs, and sharp white teeth. All these things are the marks of our brothers, except Tabaki, the jackal, and the hyena whom we hate. But Mowgli, as a man-cub, had to learn a great deal more than this. Sometimes Bagheera, the Black Panther, would come lounging through the jungle to see how his pet was getting on, and would purr with his head against a tree while Mowgli recited a day's lesson to Baloo. The boy could climb almost as well as he could swim, and swim almost as well as he could run. So Baloo, the teacher of the law, taught him the wood and the water laws, how to tell a rotten branch from a sound one, how to speak politely to the wild bees when he came upon a hive of 50 of them 50 feet above ground, what to say to Mang the bat when he disturbed him in the branches at mid-bay. People are taking pictures of me while I read, and it's strange. And how to warn the water snakes in the pools before he splashed down among them. None of the jungle people liked being disturbed, and all are very ready to fly at an intruder. Then, too, Mowgli was taught that the stranger's hunting call, which must be repeated aloud till it is answered, whenever one of the jungle people hunts outside his own grounds. It means, translated, "Give me leave to hunt here because I am hungry." And the answer is, "Hunt then for food, but not for pleasure." All this will show you how much Mowgli had to learn by heart, and he grew very tired of saying the same thing 100 times. But, as Baloo said to Bagheera, one day when Mowgli had been cuffed and run off in a temper, "A man's cub is a man's cub, and he must learn all the law of the jungle." "But think how small he is," said the Black Panther, who would have spoiled Mowgli if he'd had his own way. "How can his little head carry all thy long talk? Is there anything in the jungle too little to be killed? No. That is why I teach him these things, and that is why I hit him very softly when he forgets." "Softly? What dost thou know of softness, old iron feet?" Bagheera grunted. "His face is all bruised today by the softness. Ugh! Better he should be bruised from head to foot by me who love him, that he should come to harm through ignorance," Baloo answered very earnestly. "I am now teaching him the master words of the jungle that shall protect him with the birds and the snake people and all that hunt on 4 feet except his own pack. He can now claim protection if he will only remember the words from all in the jungle. Is not that worth a little beating? Well, look to it then that thou dost not kill the man-cub. He is no tree trunk to sharpen thy blunt claws upon. But what are those master words? I am more likely to give help than to ask it." Bagheera stretched out one paw and admired the steel-blue, rippling chisel talons at the end of it. "Still, I should like to know." "I will call Mowgli, and he shall say them if he will. Come, little brother." "My head is ringing like a bee tree," said a sullen little voice over their heads. And Mowgli slid down a tree trunk very angry and indignant, adding as he reached to the ground, "I came for Bagheera, and not for thee, fat old Baloo." "That is all one to me," said Baloo, though he was hurt and grieved. "Tell Bagheera, then, the master words of the jungle that I have taught thee this day." "Master words for which people?" said Mowgli. Oh, was he delighted? Delighted to show off. The jungle has many tongues. I know them all. "A little thou knowest, but not much. See, O Bagheera, they never thank their teacher. Not one small wolfling has ever come back to thank old Baloo for his teachings. Say the word for the hunting people then, great scholar." "We be of one blood, ye and I," said Mowgli, giving the words the bear accent which all the hunting people use. "Good. Now for the birds," Mowgli repeated with the kite's whistle at the end of the sentence. "Now for the snake people," said Bagheera. The answer was a perfectly indescribable hiss, and Mowgli kicked up his feet behind, clapped his hands together to applaud himself, and jumped onto Bagheera's back, where he sat sideways, drumming with his heels on the glossy skin and making the worst faces he could think of at Baloo. "There, there, that was worth a little bruise," said the brown bear tenderly. "Some day thou wilt remember me." Then he turned aside to tell Bagheera how he had begged the master words from Hathi, the wild elephant, who knows all about these things, and how Hathi had taken Mowgli down to a pool to get the snake word from a water snake, because Baloo could not pronounce it, and how Mowgli was now reasonably safe against all accidents in the jungle, because neither snake, bird, nor beast would hurt him. "No one then is to be feared," Baloo wound up, patting his big furry stomach with pride. "Except his own tribe," said Bagheera under his breath, and then aloud to Mowgli, "Have a care for my ribs, little brother. What is all this dancing up and down?" Mowgli had been trying to make himself heard by pulling at Bagheera's shoulder fur and kicking hard. When the two listened to him, he was shouting at the top of his voice, "And so I shall have a tribe of my own." Oh, my phone light is being weird. "I shall have a tribe of my own and lead them through the branches all day long." "What is this new folly, little dreamer of dreams?" said Bagheera. "Yes, and throw branches and dirt at old Baloo," Mowgli went on. "They have promised me this. Ah!" Woof! Baloo's big paw scooped Mowgli off Bagheera's back, and as the boy lay between the big forepaws, he could see the bear was angry. "Mowgli," said Baloo, "thou hast been talking with the Bandarlog, the monkey people." Mowgli looked at Bagheera to see if the panther was angry too, and Bagheera's eyes were as hard as jade stones. Thou hast been with the monkey people, the gray apes, the people without a law, the eaters of everything. That is great shame. When Baloo hurt my head, said Mowgli, he was still on his back, I went away, and the gray apes came down from the trees and had pity on me. No one else cared. He snuffled a little. The pity of the monkey people, Baloo snorted. The stillness of the mountain stream, the cool of the summer sun, and then, man-cub? And then they gave me nuts and pleasant things to eat, and they carried me in their arms up to the tops of the trees and said I was their blood brother, except I had no tail, and should be their leader someday. They have no leader, said Bagheera. They lie. They have always lied. They were very kind and bade me come again. Why have I never been taken to the monkey people? They stand on their feet as I do. They do not hit me with hard paws. They play all day. Let me get up, bad Baloo, let me get up. I will play with them again. Listen, man-cub, said the bear, and his voice rumbled like thunder on a hot night. I have taught thee all the law of the jungle for all the peoples of the jungle, except the monkey folk who live in the trees. They have no law. They are outcast. They have no speech of their own, but use the stolen words which they overhear when they listen and peep and wait above in the branches. Their way is not our way. They are without leaders. They have no remembrance. They boast and chatter and pretend that they are a great people about to do great affairs in the jungle. But the falling of a nut turns their mind to laughter, and all is forgotten. We of the jungle have no dealings with them. We do not drink where the monkeys drink. We do not go where the monkeys go. We do not hunt where they hunt. We do not die where they die. Hast thou ever heard me speak of the Bandarlog till today? No, said Mowgli, in a whisper, for the forest was very still now Baloo had finished. The jungle people put them out of their mouths and out of their minds. There are very many evil, dirty, shameless, and if they have any fixed desire to be noticed by the jungle people, but we do not notice them even when they throw nuts and filth on our heads. He had hardly spoken when a shower of nuts and twigs splattered down through the branches, and they could hear coughing and howlings and angry jumpings high up in the air among the thin branches. The monkey people are forbidden, said Baloo, forbidden to the jungle people. Remember. Forbidden, said Bagheera. But I still think Baloo should have warned thee against them. How was I to guess he would play with such dirt? The monkey people, faugh! A fresh shower came down on their heads, and the two trotted away, taking Mowgli with them. What Baloo had said about the monkeys was perfectly true. They belonged to the treetops, and as beasts very seldom look up, there was no occasion for the monkeys and the jungle people to cross each other's path. But whenever they found a sick wolf, or a wounded tiger or bear, the monkeys would torment him and would throw sticks and nuts at any beast for fun and in the hopes of being noticed. Then they would howl and shriek senseless songs and invite the jungle people to climb up their trees and fight them, or would start furious battles over nothing among themselves and leave the dead monkeys where the jungle people could see them. They were always just going to have a leader and laws and customs of their own, but they never did, because their memories would not hold over from day to day. And so they compromised things by making up a saying, "What the Bandarlog think now, the jungle will think later." And that comforted them a great deal. None of the beasts could reach them, but on the other hand, none of the beasts would notice them. And that was why they were so pleased when Mowgli came to play with them, and they had heard how angry Baloo was. They never meant to do any more. The bandolier log never meant anything at all. But one of them invented what seemed to him a brilliant idea, and he told all the others that Mowgli would be a useful person to keep in the tribe, because he could weave sticks together for protection from the wind. So if they caught him, they could make him teach them. Of course, Mowgli, a woodcutter's child, inherited all sorts of instincts, and used to make little huts of fallen branches without thinking how he came to do it. And the monkey people, watching in the trees, considered his play most wonderful. This time, they said, they were really going to have a leader and become the wisest people in the jungle, so wise that everyone else would notice and envy them. Therefore, they followed Baloo and Bagheera and Mowgli through the jungle very quietly till it was time for the midday nap. And Mowgli, who was very much ashamed of himself, slept between the panther and the bear, resolving to have no more to do with the monkey people. The next thing he remembered was feeling hands on his legs and arms, hard, strong little hands, and then a swash of branches on his face, and he was staring down through the swaying boughs as Baloo woke the jungle with his deep cries, and Bagheera bounded up the trunk with every tooth bared. The bandar log howled with triumph and scuffled away to the upper branches where Bagheera dared not follow, shouting, "He has noticed us! Bagheera has noticed us! All the jungle people admire us for our skill and our cunning." Then they began their flight, and the flight of the monkey people through treeland is one of the things nobody can describe. They have their regular roads and crossroads, up hills and down hills, all laid out from 50 to 700 feet above the ground. And by these they can travel even at night if necessary. Two of the strongest monkeys caught Mowgli under the arms and swung off with him through the trees, 20 feet at a bound. Had they been alone, they could have gone twice as fast, but the boy's weight held them back. Sick and giddy as Mowgli was, he could not help enjoying the wild rush. Though the glimpses of earth far down below frightened him, and the terrible check and jerk at the end of the swing over nothing but empty air brought his heart between his teeth. His escort would rush him up a tree till he felt the thinnest topmost branches crackle and bend under them, and then with a cough and a whoop would fling themselves into the air, outwards and downwards, and bring up, hanging by their hands or feet, to the lower limbs of the next tree. Sometimes he could see for miles and miles across the still green jungle, as a man on top of a mast can see for miles across the sea. And then the branches and leaves would lash him across the face, and he and his two guards would be almost down to earth again. So, bounding and crashing and whooping and yelling, the whole tribe of Bandarlogs swept along the tree roads with Mowgli, their prisoner. For a time, he was afraid of being dropped. Then he grew angry, and then he began to speak. The first thing was to send back word to Baloo and Bagheera, for at the pace the monkeys were going, he knew his friends would be left far behind. It was useless to look down, for he could only see the top sides of the branches, so he stared upwards and saw, far away in the blue, Chill the kite balancing and wheeling as he kept watch over the jungle, waiting for things to die. Chill saw that the monkeys were carrying something and dropped a few 100 yards to find out whether their load was good to eat. He whistled with surprise when he saw Mowgli was being dragged up to a treetop and heard him give the kite call for, "We be of one blood, thou and I." The waves of the branches closed over the boy, but Chill balanced away to the next tree in time to see the little brown face pop up again. "Mark my trail," said Mowgli. "Tell Baloo of the Sayanay pack and Bagheera of the Council Rock." "In whose name, brother?" Chill had never seen Mowgli before, though of course he had heard of him. "Mowgli the Frog. Man cub they call me. Mark my trail." The last words were shrieked as he was being swung through the air, but Chill nodded and rose up till he looked no bigger than a speck of dust. And there he hung, watching with his telescope eyes the swaying of the treetops as Mowgli's escort whirled along. "They never go far," he said with a chuckle. "They never do what they set out to do. Always pecking at new things are the Banderlog. This time, if I have any eyesight, they have pecked down trouble for themselves. For Baloo is no fledgling, and Bagheera can, as I know, kill more than goats." So he rocked on his wings, his feet gathered up under him, and waited. All right, well, we'll end it there for today. Thank you for listening, for watching. This video will be saved onto our Facebook page, but it will also be posted to our YouTube channel, Sylvan Lake Library, so you can go ahead and have a look at it there if you'd like, or if you know anybody who would like to listen to it and maybe doesn't have their own copy of the Jungle Book or has never read it before, feel free to pass it along to them. We will see you back again next week as we continue to read more from the Jungle Book. Thank you. I hope you guys have a great week. Stay safe, stay healthy. Bye.